Hi again. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit more about me. Well, a lot of bit more about me and, everything that happened leading up to this event that happened to me and has been happening ever since. So the last video I left off at that I'd moved back after the thing with the ex and the abusive relationship and that happened then. There was other abusive relationships, but this one I'm not even gonna mention that because that's a whole video in itself and I just don't want to go there right now. But basically, so when I was 14, my aunt's boyfriend asked me, my aunt had gone to go pick up some food or something, and so it was just me and him at the apartment, and he said, hey, you want to try something cool? And of course, I'm 14, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And we went in their bedroom and he pulled out a little baggie of some pink crystals, and it was pretty looking, and he crushed up this line for me of meth and gave it to me, and I did it, and I remember it burned really bad. I was like, oh gosh, what is that? But then I started feeling really neat, like really invincible, like wow, like this is a great feeling. And I didn't say, nobody knew about that. I didn't tell anybody I don't remember if he asked me not to tell or I just knew not to say anything, but I didn't say anything. But then after everybody had gone to sleep, I was like, I'd kind of like to get some more of that. So I went in there and I, nudged him, and he was asleep, and he woke up. I was like, hey, can I have a little bit more of that stuff? And he put his hand on my leg and said, what do you do for me? And I was like, I'm out, sorry, bye. But yeah, that's happened. And so that was my introduction to meth. And I used it on and off. I had smoked it on and off maybe every couple of months, or 3 or 4 months or so. I would do it on a weekend. It wasn't really severe at that point, but the last time I had done it was when I actually came into contact with bed bugs in 2009. This apartment I had lived at ended up, I had bed bugs, and it was horrible. And we were cleaning, and we ended up having to move, and I threw away most of my stuff and got new furniture, and it was just really bad. And I was like, I know one thing that makes you really like to clean and just get down in there and clean it, and let's just do some meth one more time and clean. And yeah, so I ended up getting some, and that was the last time I had done it before my lowest point. Whenever I came home after that relationship. So there's that. And then just got to make sure, because it's a bunch of information. So I was about 4 months behind on my car payment, and I was worried that I was going to lose my car. This was back in 2014, after I'd moved back home because I didn't have any income. And my sister actually asked me if I wanted to go go to Iowa and work with her. Well, I ended up getting I went to Iowa. She was going to get me caught up on my car. I was taking prescription pills that I had gotten for a bipolar disorder. So I was taking an antipsychotic and some Klonopin or whatever. But I had also gotten into some tequila that she had there and took a few shots of that, down some pills. I blacked out. I don't even remember, but apparently I was going to take my $12 that I had and go to the bar. I wanted to go to the bar, and I was like, you're not going to stop me. I think I ended up passing out in jail while I drove my car down a ditch. Luckily, I didn't hurt anybody. I wasn't hurt. I'm just so lucky that I'd never hurt anybody doing that. But yeah, I ended up in jail for a couple of weeks in Iowa. Lost my car anyway, and then came back without even a car. So there was, that was a great job there. But I was just so distraught because the relationship that I had, I think I just kind of bared all for him, sexually, emotionally, just with him. And I, just got really abused in that. I mean, extremely. And then it got turned around on me because his parents really didn't want us together. There was an incident where his daughter had gotten a hold of his pot butter. He had pot butter in the refrigerator one night, and I think his daughter was like 12 or 13. Well, she had gotten a hold of it. I was up. I was drunk. I barely remember any of that. And, I was in there making popcorn and chicken nuggets or whatever, and so apparently the parents had found out about that, and they were like, okay, if you go around this woman again, we're gonna take away your kid. So we were just kind of like, okay, well, we'll just sneak around. Well, then the parents hired a private investigator to follow us, and I ended up getting a call. I didn't even get a message from him or anything. I got a call from his mom saying, and I was like, look, your son is the one that was abusive to me. Your son is the one that hit me and choked me and could have killed me. And she absolutely said, I don't care what he's done. I'm worth millions and I'll destroy you. So it got pretty serious after that. I was like, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't really see each other anymore. And then a cop came to my door and served me with a protective order. And I was just like, oh, there's no way that that's going to happen. He's not going to sign that. That's just bull crap. Well, he certainly did. They lied and got this protective order. And it was just a freaking nightmare. It hurt so bad. It was like I just wasn't even whole anymore. It just like fractured every bit of what I had left, I think. But yeah, so whenever, my friend on Labor Day weekend in 2014, after that, had called and was like, hey, you want to come do some meth? I was like, no. At first I said no, and I meant it, but then 2 days later I was like, screw it, why not? It's not, what's it gonna hurt? Well, apparently it's a lot different now than it was in 2009, super dope or whatever, because it just numbed all of that pain. It was a great Band-Aid, for that. I mean, I even had a wisdom tooth that was hurting, and I didn't even feel that anymore. And then I had a friend that actually, and I had some people, that were enabling that. I was doing it, but it was being enabled as well. And I had a friend introduce me to the needle. And it was like, oh, well, it's much cleaner doing it this way, and you won't lose your teeth, and you won't blah, 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 and you'll be high for a long time. You won't want to hit that pipe. So I was like, why not? And I didn't feel it. Like, I really didn't feel it the first couple of times I tried that. I didn't feel it. And then the third time I had someone else do it. and a different person, and it hit me completely different. I mean, it was like a whole nother world, and it was horrible. I mean, it was really bad, because I got completely, it was almost like all I care about, was getting high. And what, I actually then had missed my daughter's 16th birthday. Her father was supposed to come and take her out to eat and go take her somewhere, and he didn't show up. And I had been up for probably 5 days. There was just no way I could have come. So that was horrible. That was, kind of a turning point there. I mean, it was just, I felt horrible. But one thing I noticed that I started doing during this time I would be high is I would sit there and I would research stuff online. And it was like, wow, something's really fishy. It started out with the Bible stuff. Okay, well, what's up with this? Let's find out. And I could tell that things didn't really mean, like in the Bible, like I could tell it wasn't literal, it was symbolic stuff. And it was almost like whenever I would research this stuff, it was almost like I was aware of something that everybody else seemed to not be aware of, and it became like, like this grandiose idea in my head, like, wow, why is everybody else still saying these same old things and thinking the same way about things whenever I'm, so clearly, aware of stuff. And I thought I was awake at that point, but that was really nothing. I mean, it was just kind of like an eye-opener. Like I had, kind of, heard a noise while I was sleeping and did like that and went back to, I was just still sleeping, but, it kind of shook me. But yeah, so I did kind of start pushing that on people. And I really, actually, this is my next thing, is I alienated myself that way. And I got on Facebook and would say stuff and share stuff and be like, why this and that. And I actually had thought the Illuminati was great. That was a great idea. I was just crying for help, basically just desperate for someone to come and help me, because I was just freaking out. I was very sad. I was in a very low place. And then then the meth friends that I had actually started to suck a lot. I think my child is probably home, so I might have to cut this off pretty soon. It's getting kind of lengthy anyway, but I'll continue this a little bit later. But yeah, and so I was like literally out in the rain, like out in the cold, in the rain, and these meth friends that I had, supposed friends, weren't really friends. I mean, they're high, they're high people, so they don't care if I'm standing out there in the rain and don't have nowhere to go. They don't really care about that. So I was pretty much alone, and I had done it to myself, so I don't have anybody to blame but me. But I just want to put this stuff out there because it's important for everybody to know, if listening to the stuff that happened later, like actually right after this, that they have a bit more of a, perspective of why this happened. So anyway, I'm going to cut this off. It's right at 15 minutes. I don't know how it works yet, if they're going to accept it over 15 minutes or if I have to do something. I think I have to verify my account or something like that. But anyway, thank you for listening. I might get back on here later tonight and finish this. I don't have very much left until the event thing. But thanks for listening.